Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing you another action figure review. Today we're going to be looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Harley Quinn action figure. This is from the first assortment of McFarlane DC figures. This one here is based off the comic books. It's an appearance from the Harley Quinn comics where she wore her traditional outfit. It could very easily double up as an animated look as well. Todd McFarlane has mentioned for a long time he's wanted to do one of the big three, being Marvel, DC, or Star Wars action figures. I'm really happy that McFarlane has the license now. Presumably they outbid Mattel to DC and Warner Brothers. I'm really looking forward to seeing the comparison with some Mattel Multiverse figures. These ones are a 7-inch scale, whereas the Mattel Multiverse ran more of 6.5 inches. I'm also really curious to see what Articulation upgrades or downgrades they've given us. So let's go ahead and check out the packaging here. DC Multiverse Harley Quinn. She's got a bang gun, she's got a mallet, she's got a stand in the back in her classic Harley Quinn outfit. As you can see, age is 12 plus. Not much going on the top here except it says 22 points of articulation. And you can see McFarlane Toys. Here's the Spawn logo. One side here says Harley Quinn Classic. It's her classic look. McFarlane Toys again. On the other side here, it simply says Harley Quinn. On the bottom, we've got a barcode in case anybody needs it, as well as a bunch of credits. And then on the back side here, you can see Harley Quinn from the comics, as well as a bunch of other figures from McFarlane DC. We've got the Arrow. We've got a Batman vehicle, I believe called the Raptor. We've got an armored Superman. We've got Harley Quinn from the movie Birds of Prey. Find it interesting that she's on the back here, as she's not in the first assortment of figures, but that's one confirmation of a figure from Series 2. Then last, we've got Batman from Detective Comics number 1000. So with no further ado, let's open her up. And I got this figure with a huge haul of figures from Walmart and Target today. Not all the McFarlane figures are in hand, but hopefully they will be soon. And here's this McFarlane DC Multiverse Harley Quinn next to a Mattel Multiverse Harley Quinn in the package. As you can see, the packaging is larger with the McFarlane figures, as well as the figures are also going to be a little bit larger, but there are definitely some similarities with the packaging as well. They both say DC Multiverse in approximately the same location and a similar type style, kind of implying this is a continuation of the DC Multiverse from Mattel of one way, shape, form, or fashion. And I did pick up 2 of these figures at the store. I got my figures from Target. They just happened to be on the shelf, a whole bunch of these. I got 2 of them so I can keep one of them unopened to keep my entire Batman 6 and 7-inch collection complete, up to date. And then here is my unopened version of this figure, taking its rightful place in front of my Batman and related comics with all of my other recent Batman and related acquisitions. Can't wait to get the rest of the McFarlane DC figures. Here they are next to some of the Mattel Multiverse figures in the new packaging. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here she is with all of her accessories laid out. She does come with a display stand, a collector's card, a mallet, and a pistol with a bang flag sticking out. Now, one very interesting thing about this Harley Quinn is she is from the 2002 comic series. That predates her Rebirth series by quite a bit. She had an ongoing series in 2002. Eventually it ended. She had an ongoing series in the New 52 later. And then after that, she had an ongoing series that's still going on in the Rebirth, in addition to her tons and tons of various mini-series and one-shots. So this action figure is based off of source material from the pre-New 52 DC Comics. I find that very interesting. I didn't realize that until I looked at her collector's card and found that I actually had that comic. Before we look at her accessories, let's check out the actual figure. Now, I've seen a lot of people complain this figure is too tall, too high, scaled a little bit differently than the other figures, and I'm not going to argue with that point. I think you're right, and as we do this video, I'll explain my thoughts. If you take that into consideration, this figure does look pretty good. Now, this is based off the actual DC Comics, even though it looks like an animated Harley. Sure, it could work as a fill-in for Batman the Animated Series or Harley Quinn from her current TV show, at least in the first episode. So you see her eyes here. They look pretty decent. Got a nice little grin going on. She's got her jester hat. I'm sure there's a name for this thing, but her little tufts or balls sticking out. She's got her red and black outfit. Red diamonds here, black diamonds here. Double jointed elbows. Looks like 2 ball joints in here. Looks like butterfly joints. We'll get into all that a little later. As we go down her outfit, continues to be divided. She's got these ball joints in her ankles that look kind of rough, and frankly, these kind of joints are a pain in the ass to execute. Here's the backside. Looks like this is probably intended to be this way. I don't think mine is simply warped. Now let's check out her accessories. Let's go and start off by looking at the boring stuff. This here is her display stand. It's simply a perfect circle. It's got the DC logo at the bottom. It's got 1 peg on it to fit into the peg hole in her foot. And the stand is very thin. Now, I'm not much of a stand guy, so stand is going to go into a huge bin of stands, never to be seen again. Next, let's check out her collector's card. This is another accessory that really doesn't have much value to me. Collector's card here, Harley Quinn. It says Harley Quinn Classic. She's in her classic costume in this picture. Now on the back side here, a little bio of hers, a little description, and some interesting details. Do pay attention that it says she's 5 foot 7 inches. That will be very relevant when comparing her to the other figures. It also says she's from Harley Quinn number 15 from 2002. That told me that this character here is the first McFarlane DC Comics figure predating the New 52. And her collector card here is based off of Harley Quinn number 15. And then here is the actual source material the figure is based off of. Harley Quinn number 15 from 2002, the ongoing series. Here's a page from inside the book. This right here is the comic art this figure is supposed to be based off of. Next, let's check out Harley Quinn's mallet. As you can see, this thing's got a little bit of a wrap at the bottom for her to grip, a wooden handle at the top here. Got a bunch of diamonds around the edge that are red, some diamonds that are black in the center. Exact same thing on the other side. Now, one thing I thought was very cool about this mallet, one side here has sort of a target on it, and the other side here has a Suicide Squad sort of smiley face with the 2 X's for eyes. A lot of detail there. You can also see it has a lot of sculpting, like you can tell the edge is from a wooden piece. I do like that. And then here's this McFarlane Multiverse mallet next to all the different Harley Quinn mallets from my collection. And here she is holding her mallet. She can either hold it with 2 hands, or she can hold it with 1 hand as well. And I wanted to point out that on her mallet, the handle is very thick, very fat. It's kind of hard to put it into her hands here. Her hands are made of some bendy material, so you can open them up with ease and kind of stuff that mallet inside of there, just to forewarn you. Next, let's check out her pistol here. It's got a flag with bang sticking out of it. Thing here looks decent. It's got a brown handle. Sculpting's a little soft on it as a whole. The bang part looks pretty nice. Here she is holding her pistol aimed directly at the camera. See, she has a trigger finger which fits into the trigger pretty well. And here's her McFarlane pistol next to a whole bunch of other pistols and bang guns from various Harley Quinn figures. Next, let's look at a few different accessories from other Harley Quinn figures that I think would work good to complement this McFarlane Harley Quinn. Here's a whole bunch of different baseball bats from various Harley Quinn figures. Here are a couple of different Harley Quinn Jack-in-the-Boxes. She used these like bombs in the Arkham Knight game. Here she is with her 2 hyenas, Bud and Lou, These are from DC Collectibles, Batman the Animated Series, Harley Quinn. So they're a little bit smaller compared to her than I'd like. These are two characters that were introduced from Batman the Animated Series and have been incorporated into the comics. And from the trailer, it looks like they're going to be in the film Birds of Prey. Here she is with a couple of different hyenas. I've had these for many, many years, and they scale up a little better with her and look a little more realistic. These have always been my Bud and Lou for my DC Universe Classics figures, and I look forward to passing them on to her. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at her accessories, as well as some other accessories you can use to enhance this Harley Quinn figure, now let's check out the height of this figure. So from bottom to top, this figure is sitting at just a hair below 7 inches, between 6.8 and 6.9 inches. That's where the top of her head is. If you go to the top of her jester hat, which is a little bit higher than her head, it's just about 7 inches. The Batman figure was about 7.0 inches here, and the Superman was just a hair above that. That translates to approximately 17.5 centimeters. Speaking of her height, here she is next to the comic Superman and comic Batman figures. And although they are actually taller than her at the tops of their head, not by much, her jester hat makes her appear to be taller. Now, like I said earlier, on her card here, it said that she was 5'7". And on Batman's card here, it says that he is 6'2". Those guys look way too close for that height difference to be accurate. Now it's unfortunate because McFarlane provided us with the information and they didn't really do a good job scaling the figures. This Harley Quinn should probably be at least 0.4 inches shorter. Maybe not quite fully a ½ inch, but a little more than she is now. Next, let's check out this figure's articulation. So starting with her head here, of course you can rotate from side to side. She can look down that far, which is pretty nice. Then she can look up that far, which isn't too much, just straight ahead. A little disappointing considering how far she can look down. Shoulders here on a ball joint, then go out more than 90 degrees, which is really cool. Up, down, around, rotate, all that fun stuff. She does have a piece of plastic between her chest area and shoulder here. I believe that's called a butterfly joint. Allows it to go forward and back, increasing the range of motion quite a bit. Below that, she has a bicep cut here. Below that, she has double joint elbows that go all the way in. Next, her wrist here. You can't really see it that well because of that ruffly stuff, but there's a ball jointed side of there. She can rotate around, and then it's hinged as well. Now, if you were able to rotate this ball joint, it's really hard to get in there and do that. You'd be able to move the way she can hinge her wrist. So looking at her waist articulation here, and I think I picked the wrong figure of the two to open. Mine's a little bit loose here. I'm able to pull her apart with fair ease, which is pretty annoying. It's not broken by any means. And then go right back inside the articulation functions. Just a little annoying. So at the top here, she's got a ball joint and very little range of motion, can rotate from side to side, can also go forward and back a little bit. The bottom one here can rotate a little more and go forward and back a little more as well, giving her a pretty good range of motion in her torso area here. Legs got about this far. It's not a ball joint. I'm not sure what you call this kind of a joint here. Now she should be able to move independently of this, but it can barely get any articulation out of that. Her legs go forward about that far, definitely not 90 degrees, and then go back, really not very much at all. Got double jointed knees, they can go all the way down. Then in her leg here, she has a ball joint, which doesn't visually look that great. It allows her to go up quite a bit, back. She's got this toe articulation in addition to that. They can rotate around from side to side, and they can't really rock or tilt, but if you were to take this ball joint here, rotate it to the side, rotate her foot back, then you'd be able to sort of tilt or rock it at will. Like I said, those ball joints are a little bit annoying to get the full use out of them. Next, let's check her out compared to some other action figures. Starting off by looking at her compared with the other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures that I've gotten so far. Then we'll check her out compared with a bunch of other Harley Quinn and related action figures. And then we'll check her out with a bunch of different various action figure lines from different companies to see how she fits in both scale and style-wise in case you want to mix the lines. Here she is with all the different McFarlane DC Multiverse figures that I've gotten so far. Series 1 has a total of 12 figures. I've located 6 of them so far. And here are these McFarlane DC Multiverse figures next to a McFarlane Bloodshot figure from the upcoming film. This guy here scales up great with these guys. It looks like he has the same articulation formula. Next, let's check her out compared with some other Harley Quinn action figures from different companies. Here she is with a NECA Arkham City Harley Quinn. This was a Toys R Us exclusive from a couple years ago. Here she is next to several different DC Direct and DC Collectibles Harley Quinn figures. This one here is one of my favorites. This is from the DC Collectibles, and it's from the Arkham Knight video game. This one here is the DC Essentials Harley Quinn. Of course, is a McFarlane one. Then we got the Bombshells one, and then a couple of New 52 comic Harley Quinns. Here she is next to a bunch of DC Direct and DC Collectible Harley Quinn figures from the Arkham video games. From left to right, we've got Harley Quinn from Arkham Asylum, Harley Quinn from Arkham City, Harley Quinn slightly repainted from Arkham City that came with Mr. Hammer and her 2-pack. Obviously the McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. Next is Harley Quinn from the Arkham City DLC, Harley Quinn's Revenge. Then we've got Dr. Harleen Quinzel from Arkham Origins. And then last we've got Harley Quinn from Arkham Knight. And then here she is with several other different DC Direct and DC Collectibles Harley Quinn figures. I believe these are all inspired from the comics. Here she is next to a Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods Harley Quinn figure, and there are 2 more of those on the way. And here she is next to a bunch of different Mattel, DC Universe Classics, and Multiverse Harley Quinn figures from left to right. The first one there is from the Batman Legacy DC Universe Classic spin-off line from Arkham City. And then we've got a classic Harley Quinn with a blue face, classic Harley Quinn with a white face. The white face one is probably one of my favorite Harley Quinn figures that I own. Of course, in the center there, we've got the McFarlane Harley Quinn. Next, we've got a Multiverse Rebirth Harley Quinn. And you can see it actually scales up fairly close to the McFarlane figure. And then the next 3 are Suicide Squad Multiverse figures. And then here she is next to a couple of Mafex Harley Quinn figures. And here she is next to a few different Mattel cheaper Harley Quinn figures. On the far left, we've got the Harley Quinn for the Batman Missions line. And the ones on the right hand side are all from the DC Superhero Girls line. Here she is with some more DC Direct and DC Collectibles Harley Quinn figures of a slightly smaller scale. On the left hand side, we've got the DC Icons Harley Quinn. And on the right hand side, we've got some Batman the Animated Series and the new Batman Adventures Harley Quinn figures from the Bruce Timm Animated Universe. Here she is next to a couple of Harley Quinn figures from SH Figure Arts. Here she is next to a Yamato Harley Quinn figure. This is a Japanese import from about 15 years ago. This figure doesn't have much articulation, but it came with some really cool accessories and props for my Harley Quinn shelf. And here she is next to all my different 6 and 7 inch Harley Quinn figures. And then here she is with a whole bunch of Harley Quinn thugs or henchmen based off the Arkham video game design. There's even a tightened up Harley Quinn thug. Here's Harley Quinn standing in her display shelf. This is Harley Quinn's apartment. You see a lot of different Harley Quinn display pieces in the background. We've got Bud and Lou here, her bed, little Harley Quinn background, mirror, place for her to do makeup. Harley Quinn stands in the background, some accessories on the table. Of course, I picked a red table with black legs, appropriate for Harley Quinn. She's got a closet there, some hats in the corner, red and black of course, some hangers to hang up her stuff. Another place to do makeup over here, couple of Harley Quinn accessories in the comics in the back, the squirrel and the pizza monster. Then we've got a mirror here, plus a picture of Mr. J. And then, of course, her thugs hang out up there in the background. Here she is next to the Joker and Harley Quinn from the DC Collectibles DC Essentials line. This is an ongoing line right now. It's also 7-inch scale. But this Harley Quinn almost looks like she's from the animated series. Just the way her body is proportioned, weird. Large head, large legs. Just a kind of odd. This is probably the best Joker to pair up with her scale-wise, at least for now. And here she is next to Mime and Marionette from the Doomsday Clock line. This is pretty much an extension of the DC Essentials line, as they use the same bodies and articulation. Here she is with a bunch of different characters from the current Harley Quinn cartoon show. Some of these are customs, some of these are substitutes. From left to right, we've got Frank the Plant, Poison Ivy, Kite Man, Clayface, Dr. Psycho, Harley Quinn, King Shark, Joker, KG Beast, and Maxie Zeus. Next, let's check her out compared with some other action figure lines from various companies. Here she is with some of her McFarlane Toys brothers and sisters. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines from McFarlane Toys. They're all 7-inch, and they all scale up pretty good together. Here she is next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Here she is next to some NECA figures. Here she is next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles action figures. Here she is next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And then here she is next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures. Then here she is next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here she is next to some Mafex figures. And here she is next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And then here she is next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And here she is next to some Jazzwares figures. So overall, it's a good figure, but it definitely has its faults. It is definitely too tall compared with the other McFarlane figures. It should be something like 0.4 to half an inch shorter. Her head's a little bit too big. Thigh area is a little bit too big. She almost looks like she should be from the animated series group of figures, just the way she's proportioned, kind of oddly how they are. Very stylized. Some stuff that's very cool about her. I mean, I think she looks pretty good for what she is. Her articulation's pretty nice. I love the fact that she's the first McFarlane comic release pre-New 52. Really hope we get a lot more from that era and even further back. It's a little disappointing to have a McFarlane Harley Quinn and no McFarlane Joker. So if I were to rate this figure, probably give her a 6.5 out of 10. Maybe I should just give her a 6 out of 10. She's not horrible, but the only issue, at least the main one for me, is that she doesn't completely fit in with the other comic figures. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it in the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Keep an eye out for my reviews on all the other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.